Top 5 Wheat Penny Coins. Welcome to Numismatic Vault Extra. Today, we're going to explore some of the most valuable top 5 1-cent wheat penny coins in the United States. United States. We'll look at their current market value, rare and exciting error coins, and the specific conditions, including rare copper varieties, unusual silver-colored mistakes, and different toning shades, that have turned these coins into major stars in the coin collector and investor world. These rare treasures are not just pieces of American history. They are also some of the most valuable and most sought-after coins collectors are chasing today. So if you're a coin enthusiast, a collector, or someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of American currency, this video is for you. Let's get started with the first coin on our list. Magnifying, glass-tilted left sparkles. The legend of the 1957 D. Wheat Penny. 15 paragraphs. In the vast landscape of American coinage, few coins carry the quiet charm and dangerous potential of the 1957 D. Wheat Penny, a coin struck in the twilight years of the wheat era. To most people, it looks like a common piece of copper, no different from the millions that circulated through the pockets of farmers, soldiers, mothers, and merchants. But hidden within its simple design is a story of rarity, errors, forgotten history, and the unbelievable chance for unimaginable value. Value strong enough to shift fortunes in a single night. The story begins in Denver, Colorado, where the D mint mark stamped its authority on billions of coins throughout American history. In 1957, the Denver Mint was a powerhouse of copper production, driven by speed, precision, and the pressure of supplying a fast-growing nation. But even in a place built for perfection, mistakes slipped through the cracks. Mistakes that would someday become the most desirable treasures in the entire wheat penny market. The year 1957 carried a strange energy. The nation was standing on the edge of a technological revolution. The Cold War loomed. People were anxious, hopeful, and constantly moving. Every penny that left the Denver Mint carried the weight of a country preparing for change. And because the mint was rushing to meet demand, some pennies were struck with unusual details. Die cracks, doubled letters, off-center strikes, rare flaws that collectors today treat like gold. What makes the 1957 D. Wheat Penny so thrilling is not just its age, but its survival story. Millions were struck, yes, but few survived in the condition collectors dream about. Most circulated heavily. Most lived rough lives in pockets, vending machines, and dusty cash drawers. Only a tiny fraction were put aside before suffering damage, and those untouched survivors are the coins that now carry unbelievable value in the collector market. The wheat reverse, the iconic stalks bending around the words 1 cent, was already nearing the end of its era when the 1957 D penny was born. Just 2 years later, the design would be replaced forever by the Lincoln Memorial. That makes the 1957 D not just a coin, but a farewell chapter of American design artistry, a last breath of a style that shaped the childhood of millions during the Depression and World War II. Collectors often describe the wheat penny as the heartbeat of American numismatics. It is familiar, humble, and full of nostalgia. But when it comes to the 1957 D, the story deepens. Because this coin, especially in high-grade or rare error form, can command prices so shocking that people who find one by accident think they must be dreaming. And yet, the dream is real. Part of its mystique comes from the fact that most people underestimate it. They see a copper penny and assume it is ordinary. But the wise collector knows. Value hides in the details. A perfectly struck 1957 D penny with blazing luster is a prize so rare that it competes with the most desirable coins of the mid-20th century. And when combined with a minting error, its value can rise into numbers large enough to change someone's entire life. Stories have circulated of people discovering rare 1957 D pennies in coffee cans, jars of old change, or boxes stuffed into forgotten closets. Every time one of these coins emerges untouched by time, it feels like opening a time capsule from the 1950s. That sense of discovery, of finding a treasure among ordinary things, is what makes this penny one of the most hunted coins in America today. Even its copper composition adds to the excitement. Today's pennies are thin shells of copper coating over zinc, but the 1957 D is pure, rich copper, a metal that carries weight, warmth, and a glow of authenticity. It feels different. It sounds different. It lives differently. and collectors can sense that difference instantly. The most fascinating part is that rare varieties of the 1957 D, like strong double dyes, repunched mint marks, and misaligned strikes, were never meant to escape the mint. They slipped out quietly, unnoticed by workers who never imagined that decades later, these errors would be worth far more than their weight in copper. Their accidental birth is what makes them priceless today. This coin teaches an important lesson. Value does not always come from rarity alone, it comes from story. And the story of the 1957 D Wheat Penny includes the final years of classic American design, the Copper Age, the rush of mint production, and the unexpected survival of rare mistakes. Its tale is woven with nostalgia, history, and the fleeting moments that make certain objects unforgettable. Collectors say the 1957 D carries quiet power. It does not shout like a large silver dollar or dazzle like a golden commemorative coin. Instead, it sits silently, letting its history and condition speak. And when a collector holds a perfect one in their hand, they know they're touching something truly extraordinary. The thrill of the 1957 D penny lies in its possibility. You could hold a simple 1-cent coin, or you could be holding a treasure. You could be staring at a penny worth almost nothing, or a penny worth thousands, and in rare cases more. The difference between the two sits in tiny details, hidden curves, microscopic shapes, and the subtle fingerprint of the mint's machinery. This is why people insist, never spend a wheat penny without checking it. The right 1957 D penny has the power to flip your destiny. It can be the kind of accidental fortune that turns an ordinary day into an unforgettable moment. And for some, that single copper coin becomes the spark that changes everything. So if you have a 1957 D wheat penny, treat it with care. Study it. Hold it up to the light. Protect it. Because you may be holding not just a coin, but a once-in-a-lifetime fragment of American history. One that carries the potential for unbelievable value, and the power to transform your fortune with the smallest stroke of luck. Next coins. The legend of the 1954 D Wheat Penny. 15 powerful paragraphs. The 1954 D Wheat Penny stands as one of the most quietly powerful artifacts of mid-century American coinage. At first glance, it feels familiar. Just a copper penny, worn by time, simple in design. But behind its humble face hides a universe of stories, secrets, and rare variations that make this coin capable of transforming an ordinary person's life in a single moment. Its value doesn't shout. It whispers, but those who know how to listen understand its unbelievable potential. The Denver Mint in 1954 was a place of pressure, sweat, and relentless machinery. America was rebuilding its spirit after war, entering a booming era of optimism, invention, and ambition. Industries pushed forward at full speed, and so did the Mint. As millions of people filled their pockets with pennies, the Denver facility struck enormous quantities of copper cents. Yet within those waves of mass production, history hid several extraordinary coins that collectors today dream of discovering. This particular penny was born during the last decade of the wheat design, a time when tradition met transition. Only 5 years later, the reverse would change forever to the Lincoln Memorial. That makes every wheat penny from the 1950s feel like a final chapter, a graceful ending to one of the most beloved coin designs America has ever known. The 1954 D piece represents that moment perfectly. A mix of nostalgia, craftsmanship, and accidental rarity. While millions of 1954 D pennies rolled off the presses, very few survived the decades in the pristine condition collector's treasure. Most went through hard years in circulation, passing through diners, grocery stores, farm shops, mills, train stations. Some were dropped into dusty barns. Some lay forgotten in old jars. Time was not gentle, and that is what makes high-grade and error versions of this coin incredibly valuable today. Part of the magic of the 1954 D penny comes from its copper heart. Unlike the hollow feeling of today's zinc cents, the older wheat pennies carry real metal, real weight, and real character. Copper ages beautifully, developing deep tones that feel almost alive, shades of amber, rose, and mahogany that collectors adore. That warm metal is more than material. It is memory. Errors from the Denver Mint during this year are the true treasures. Whether it's a repunched mint mark, a double die, an off-center strike, a cracked die, or a misaligned punch, Each mistake escaped the mint unintentionally, only to become priceless decades later. When such a flawed coin survives today in sharp condition, collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts, because nature and history rarely allow such miracles to exist. What makes the 1954 D penny so thrilling to study is how unpredictable it is. Two pennies may look nearly identical, but one might be worth a single cent while the other, because of one tiny imperfection or moment of minting chaos, is worth thousands. This unpredictability transforms each coin into a mystery waiting to be solved, a potential golden ticket hidden in plain sight. Stories circulate among collectors about lucky people who discovered 1954 D pennies in forgotten drawers, coffee cans, or inherited boxes of old coins. Some of these finds turned out to be rare varieties worth shocking amounts of money. These tales inspire thousands to keep checking every wheat penny they come across, because fortune often hides in small, underestimated places. The 1954 D penny also carries the spirit of mid-century America. It belonged to a time when families sat together at the dinner table, when jukeboxes played every evening, when newspapers were thick and stories were long, and when coins carried the fingerprints of everyday citizens. Holding one today is like holding a piece of that time, a small, warm, copper window to the past. The wheat reverse remains one of the most cherished designs in U.S. history. The twin stalks represent growth, harvest, and the American promise of opportunity. On the 1954 D penny, these wheat ears feel especially symbolic, as though the coin itself carries the idea of prosperity, waiting patiently for the right hands to discover it. Collectors know that the 1954 D penny is more than just a date and mint mark. It is a canvas of possibility. Under magnification, the smallest details, shadows in the letters, curves of the mint mark, ridges of Lincoln's coat, can reveal secrets invisible to the naked eye. It is like reading hidden history, layer by layer. Some of the rarest versions of this coin are so scarce that only a handful are known to exist. That scarcity drives its potential value into unbelievable territory, making certain examples worth enough to shock even experienced collectors. If you happen to own one of these ultra-rare types, you are holding a life-changing opportunity in the palm of your hand. Because of this, collectors repeat the same powerful phrase everywhere: never ignore a wheat penny. Especially not a 1954 D. The right coin can lift someone from ordinary life into a completely new world. It may sit in your drawer for years, quietly holding the power to change everything with a single sale. The 1954 D wheat penny teaches us that fortune does not always wear gold. Sometimes it hides inside simple copper, waiting patiently for someone with curiosity and courage to recognize its worth. When you understand a coin like this, you understand that history is not just a story, it is a treasure map. So if a 1954 D wheat penny rests in your possession, treat it like the rare jewel it might be. Examine it, protect it, learn from it, because hidden in its copper skin is the unbelievable potential of destiny. A small, quiet coin with the power to shift your fortune overnight, just as countless rare coins have done for others before. Its story is rich, and its value, under the right conditions, can be utterly extraordinary. Next coin. The 1956 D wheat penny. The copper coin that carries a thunderstorm of fortune. The 1956 D wheat penny stands as one of the final roaring echoes of America's legendary wheat cent era. At first sight, it looks like any other copper cent. Small, brown, ordinary. But inside this coin lives a pulse, a quiet fire, a hidden fortune waiting for the right eyes to discover it. Millions walked past it without noticing its power, but collectors today know that within this single cent lies the possibility of an exploding value that can rewrite a person's future in a single moment. To understand the 1956 D penny, you must travel back to the winter winds of Denver in 1956. The mint was alive that year. Machines hammering, copper blank after copper blank sliding across cold steel, sparks of industry echoing the country's growing confidence. The United States was booming, families were thriving, and every copper cent being minted was a piece of that unstoppable spirit. Yet among the countless ordinary coins, a rare few emerged with mysterious mistakes, breathtaking conditions, or extraordinary beauty. Coins destined to become legends. By 1956, the wheat penny design had become iconic across America. The twin wheat stalks were more than decoration. They symbolized growth, work, and the promise of reward. Every child recognized the wheat ears. Every shop owner trusted them. Every farmer loved them. But this was also the last chapter of their story. Only 3 years later, the design would vanish forever, replaced by the memorial reverse. That makes each 1956 Wheat penny feel like a farewell gift from the past. Though the Denver Mint produced a huge number of pennies that year, most never survived to modern times in pristine condition. They were pocketed, dropped, scraped across countertops, rattled in metal cash registers, and passed from hand to hand for decades. Millions were melted. Millions were lost. That is what makes the few flawless survivors so unbelievably valuable today. Tiny copper miracles that defied time itself. Collectors adore the 1956 penny not just for its date, but for its copper soul. These coins were minted when pennies were real, solid, and alive with metal. Not the cheap zinc imitations we see today. Copper ages beautifully, taking on deep tones of red, brown, gold, and wine. A penny from 1956 that still glows with original red luster is a breathtaking sight. One that serious collectors will pay astonishing amounts to own. The true thunderstorm of value comes from errors. Denver was known for punchmarking issues in the 1950s, and the 1956 penny is loaded with possibilities. A repunched mint mark, a double date, a misaligned die, a cracked die, or an off-center strike. Any of these can turn an ordinary cent into a treasure of unbelievable worth. Some error varieties are so scarce that only a handful are confirmed. These are the coins that collectors chase like hunters chasing mythical beasts. The beauty of the 1956 penny is that its fortune lies hidden in plain sight. Two people may hold the same coin, and one sees a cent while the other sees a priceless rarity. A tiny curve in the mint mark, a small fragment of doubling in Lincoln's profile, a hairline crack in the die. These micro details can be worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands. It is the kind of coin that rewards patience and punishes anyone who overlooks it. Stories float around collector circles of people finding rare 1956 pennies in dusty jars, antique dressers, basement boxes, or inherited coin collections. Some have sold these finds for life-changing money. These stories fuel the thrill of the hunt and ignite the imagination. Because the next historic discovery might be sitting quietly in someone's pocket right now, waiting. This coin also holds emotional weight. The world of 1956 was a different place. Elvis was just beginning to shake the world, televisions glowed in living rooms for the first time, and the country was filled with dreams and optimism. Every penny minted that year carries the fingerprints of that era. When you hold a 1956 penny, you hold a piece of mid-century America. A small copper witness to a time of innocence, ambition, and breakthrough. Lincoln's portrait on the obverse is sharp, dignified, and timeless. But on rare high-grade or error coins, his features appear almost sculptural, glowing with an intensity that feels almost unreal. On flawless examples, collectors can see every line of his coat, every curve in his hair, every shadow on his face. These details elevate an ordinary coin into a work of miniature art. The reverse wheat design also carries deep meaning. Those two simple stalks whisper of harvests, labor, and the promise that effort leads to reward. That symbolism is not accidental. The wheat penny was created during America's hardest times, and by the 1950s it had become a symbol of prosperity. The 1956 wheat penny is a tribute to that spirit, and its rising value today feels like destiny fulfilling itself. Collectors know that the most valuable 1956 pennies are those with extraordinary conditions. Coins with blazing red luster, untouched surfaces, or rare errors have sold for strikingly high amounts. These coins are so rare that even experts talk about them with awe. For someone lucky enough to own one, it is like holding lightning frozen in copper. The key message repeated again and again in collector communities is this: never underestimate a wheat penny, especially a 1956 This coin has changed lives. It has surprised dealers. It has shocked auction houses. And it continues to appear unexpectedly in places no one anticipates. That is what makes its story irresistible. The 1956 wheat penny reminds us that fortune does not always come in gold bars or giant treasures. Sometimes it comes in a 1-cent piece, quiet, patient, and powerful. All it takes is the right coin, the right condition, and the right set of eyes to recognize its tremendous worth. So if you have a 1956 Wheat penny, hold it carefully. Study it. Respect it. Because you may be holding something that carries the power to change your fortune overnight. In today's market, the rare varieties of this coin are capable of turning an ordinary person into a millionaire. It is not just a penny. It is a story, a relic, a treasure map, and a miracle wrapped in copper. Next coin. The most valuable and expensive 1944 Mint mark Wheat penny. The coin with unimaginable power. The year was 1944, a moment in American history when every heartbeat of the nation echoed with the rhythm of war, sacrifice, hope, and transformation. Factories roared, families rationed what they had, and the fields of Europe and the Pacific trembled under the weight of a world fighting for freedom. Inside this storm of history, something small, humble, and round quietly entered circulation. The 1944 Wheat penny with no mint mark. It was born from copper that once lived as shell casings, military wire, and wartime scrap, making the coin feel like a tiny relic infused with the pulse of that era. This penny was not just a piece of currency. It was a symbol of survival. For many Americans, a penny could stretch further than imagination. Buying food, gum, a small drink, or the chance to save for a dream. But the 1944 penny carried a history deeper than any of its predecessors. It represented America's return to copper after one of the most unusual decisions in U.S. coinage, the creation of the steel penny in 1943. When copper became scarce, the government had turned to steel. But in 1944, with steel rejected by the public and needed for war production, copper returned, and with it came one of the most iconic pennies ever struck. The 1944 no-mint mark penny from the Philadelphia Mint might seem ordinary at first glance, but beneath its warm, earthy color lies a story full of mystery and intrigue. Millions were produced, yet only a tiny fraction have captured the world's attention for their rare mistakes, unusual metal blends, and once-in-a-lifetime errors that slipped into circulation unnoticed. These coins vanished into pockets, jars, and drawers, waiting decades before the world realized what they truly were. Collectors today whisper about the unbelievable value hidden inside certain 1944 pennies, especially those mistakenly struck in steel, or those with strange planchet impurities, or those perfectly preserved as if time itself stepped aside. While the common copper version is cherished, the rare error versions have shaken the numismatic world with staggering prices that seem almost unreal, almost magical, carrying the power to transform the owner's fortune overnight. Paragraph 5. Imagine a coin so small it can rest quietly on your fingertip, yet possessing the potential to shatter auction records and rewrite a family's destiny. That is the mystique of the rare 1944 penny. Some examples have sold for the price of luxury homes, high-end cars, or even your entire life savings collected dollar by dollar. Such coins become legends, traveling from city to city, held by white-glove hands, guarded with the kind of care usually reserved for jewels and relics of ancient kings. The 1944 penny is also a time machine, taking you back to an era when Abraham Lincoln's face represented hope and unity during one of the darkest chapters of history. Lincoln, immortalized on the coin, looks forward with a sense of determined calm, a reminder to future generations that courage and resilience define the American spirit. Every 1944 penny carries that message in silence, and collectors can almost feel it when the coin catches light. The absence of a mint mark on the 1944 penny tells its own story. It reveals that the coin was born in the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest coin-making institution in the nation. Philadelphia was the heart of American coin production, a place where artisans and machines worked tirelessly to create coins that would cross hands millions of times. The no-mint mark 1944 penny is a direct survivor of that legacy. But it is the rare errors, the steel versions, the misstrikes, the off-metal anomalies, that elevate this coin from historic to mythical. These are the pennies collectors dream of, the ones that spark gasps in auction halls and ignite bidding wars that climb into the stratosphere. Owning one of these is not just owning a coin. It is holding a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. Stories travel through the collector world like wildfire. Tales of people who found a rare 1944 penny in a jar, in an attic, in an old coat pocket. One moment it was forgotten, worthless, ignored. The next moment it was sitting under the bright lights of an auction, fetching tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or more. It is this possibility, this electrifying chance of hidden wealth, that gives the 1944 penny its magnetic power. During the 1940s, children treasured pennies as if they were tiny trophies. Housewives counted them carefully as part of their weekly budgets. Soldiers overseas received letters with pennies taped inside as lucky charms to remind them of home. The 1944 penny lived through all of this. It was carried into battle, saved in piggy banks, dropped on wooden floors, and passed through hands that shaped American history. The copper of the 1944 penny has a warm glow that reflects fire, struggle, and perseverance. Many collectors feel that the penny seems almost alive, as if it absorbed the energy of the era it came from. This gives every 1944 penny, even the common ones, an emotional, almost spiritual weight that no modern coin can match. Today, the coin market continues to watch the 1944 penny with fascination. Prices rise, collectors compete, and the rarest examples become treasures guarded in vaults. Some say the market for the 1944 errors has not even reached its peak, that one day, perhaps sooner than expected, an ultra-rare version could break records no one thought possible. If you hold a 1944 penny with no mint mark, you are holding a link to the greatest generation. People who endured hardship, fought tyranny, and rebuilt a nation. You are holding a piece of metal that survived war, time, and chance. And if you happen to possess one of the extremely rare error versions, you may be holding a life-changing fortune disguised as a simple copper coin. This is why collectors say, never spend it, never rush to trade it away. A coin like the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny deserves respect. Its value does not lie only in its metal or its age, but in the stories it carries and the astonishing prices it can command when rarity and condition align in perfect harmony. In the world of numismatics, few coins shine with the dramatic power of the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny. It is a coin created in crisis, shaped by history, and elevated by chance. Its rare variations have turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight, proving that sometimes the smallest objects hold the greatest secrets. And perhaps, just perhaps, your own fortune could be waiting in the quiet copper glow of this legendary coin. Next coin. Legend of the 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny, the copper coin with unimaginable power. The year was 1956, and America stood on the edge of a new horizon. The wounds of war had begun to close, families filled the new suburbs, and the nation pulsed with hope, ambition, and innovation. Amid this era of booming prosperity and quiet tension, the United States Mint produced a humble copper coin, the 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny. At first glance it seemed ordinary, but every collector knows that ordinary things born in extraordinary times often hide stories powerful enough to change lives. This penny belonged to the final chapter of the legendary wheat series, a design that had carried the soul of America since 1909. On one side stood Abraham Lincoln, the eternal guardian of unity, dignity, and justice. On the other, two wheat stalks curled like open hands, symbolizing nourishment, labor, and the honest spirit of the American worker. The 1956 penny is a farewell to this era, one of the last copper whispers before the design was replaced forever. Though millions were minted, the 1956 Philadelphia no-mint mark penny holds a special aura. It represents the very heart of American coinage, the Philadelphia Mint, the birthplace of the nation's monetary identity. When you hold this penny, you hold a piece of a legacy stretching back nearly 2 centuries, a legacy built from precision, pride, and craftsmanship. But like every coin with mythic reputation, the 1956 penny has its own secrets. Unexpected errors, misstrikes, metal anomalies, and extremely well-preserved examples have turned this simple copper disc into an object of obsession. A few rare varieties escape into the world silently, unnoticed at the time but destined to stun the coin market decades later. Collectors speak in hushed tones about the 1956 coins with doubled lettering, faint die shifts, or mysterious planchet quirks. These tiny imperfections, unnoticed during production, now transform an everyday penny into a jewel that can command staggering prices. One good error, one perfect mint state shine, and suddenly a coin that once bought a piece of candy becomes worth more than a car, a house, or an entire savings account. Imagine standing in front of a coin dealer as the bright lights reflect off a flawless 1956 penny, untouched by time. The copper glows like a miniature sun, its surface so perfect it seems crafted yesterday. These miracle coins, preserved in high grades, are the ones that ignite bidding wars. The value climbs rapidly, soaring into numbers that seem surreal for something so small. But it is the stories of unexpected discoveries that keep the legend of the 1956 penny alive. People who find one in an old tin box, forgotten in a drawer, buried in a jar passed down through generations. They bring it to an expert expecting a casual comment, and instead walk away clutching a coin worth thousands, sometimes much more. That moment, when chance collides with rarity, has changed lives in ways few could imagine. The copper of the 1956 penny carries warmth and strength. It represents the era's grit, a time when families rebuilt, industries roared back to life, and America shifted into a new age of dreams and determination. Each coin minted that year holds a fragment of that spirit, a silent echo of hands that worked, hoped, and built the future. Many forget that the 1950s were also a time of geopolitical tension. The Cold War, nuclear fears, global uncertainty. And yet, people still trusted something as small as a penny. Children collected them, adults saved them, and businesses relied on them. A simple copper coin was a symbol of stability in a world rattling with change. The special interest in the 1956 no-mint mark penny also comes from its timing. Just 3 years later, the wheat design would vanish, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. That makes 1956 one of the last years of a beloved era in American numismatics. The market treats this year with heightened reverence. The end of an age always becomes more meaningful when it is understood in hindsight. As the decades passed, the value of rare 1956 pennies skyrocketed. Certain pieces, especially those with breathtaking condition or rare die errors, became golden opportunities. Collectors fought fiercely over them. Investors watched them like stocks, and auction houses displayed them as if they were ancient artifacts carved from precious metal. Some call the 1956 penny a quiet millionaire maker, because every so often, someone uncovers a specimen so exceptional that it defies belief. Overnight, an ordinary person holding what they thought was pocket change discovers a treasure that transforms their life. Few objects on Earth carry that kind of potential inside such a small circle of metal. This coin is not just valuable because of rarity. It is valuable because of history, emotion, and the story it tells. A 1956 penny has lived more than 6 decades, slipping through thousands of hands, witnessing the evolution of a nation. It has traveled through shops, pockets, savings jars, and maybe even across oceans. To own one is to own a tiny piece of American time. And now, in the modern market, collectors increasingly seek high-grade, error, and uncirculated 1956 pennies. The demand grows every year, raising the value higher and higher. Owning the right example can open doors of wealth, prestige, and opportunity. Some say the peak value is still yet to come, that the market has not even tasted the limit of what the rarest 1956 penny could someday sell for. So when you find a 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny, do not rush to spend it or overlook it. Treat it with the respect of a relic that may carry unimaginable power. It is more than copper. It is a legacy, a symbol, and potentially a fortune waiting for the right moment. The smallest coin of yesterday might just hold the biggest change of your future.